If I ever say yes to a last-minute babysitting job again, remind me about the Wilkins place on Briarwood Lane, okay? Because nothing, and I mean nothing, was normal about that night. But you know what? When you're broke and you get offered double your normal rate, you try not to ask too many questions. That's how it always starts. It was a Saturday night, pouring rain, and my phone buzzed at 6:12 p.m. My friend Taylor said her aunt's neighbor needed an emergency sitter because their regular girl bailed last minute. Just one kid, quick cash, nice house, you in? I barely asked anything. Just Ubered straight over with a hoodie on and rain in my shoes. I remember thinking, wow, these folks have money, because the Wilkins house looked like something out of Home Alone. Huge front porch, wraparound yard, even one of those old-school rocking chairs by the door. Their driveway lights kept flickering from the storm. Mrs. Wilkins met me at the door. She was rushing, coat already on, hair half up, clearly frazzled. "Hi, thank you so much. Listen, Daniel's asleep upstairs. Please don't wake him. He gets fussy at night. Emergency numbers are on the fridge. There's snacks, TV, help yourself. We'll be home before midnight." She barely waited for me to answer. I heard keys drop in the bowl, the front door slammed, and then it was just me in this giant, way too quiet house. I texted Taylor. This place is a museum. So quiet, kids asleep, easy money. And honestly, it was boring. I flipped channels, ate some Cheez-Its. The Wilkinses had these weird, fancy portraits everywhere. Giant oil paintings of what I guess were their ancestors. All stern faces and creepy eyes that seemed to follow you. I kept glancing up at them, expecting one to move or something. At about 7:30, I started hearing noises upstairs, not like full-on banging, more like little creaks, the sound of a bed frame shifting. I figured it was the storm, or maybe Daniel rolling over. I ignored it. But around 8, it started sounding less random, like footsteps. Slow even, back and forth. You know that feeling when you know you're alone but your brain just won't believe it? I turned the TV volume up, told myself to chill. At 8:15, I heard a sharp thud directly above me, like someone dropped something heavy. The lights in the hallway flickered. I about jumped out of my skin. I got up, my heart racing, and shouted, "Daniel, you okay up there?" No answer. Just silence. I texted Mrs. Wilkins just to be safe. "Hey, heard a loud noise upstairs, all good?" She didn't reply. I told myself, okay, you're just being dramatic, and went back to my snacks. But I could not stop staring at the ceiling. The footsteps started again, more deliberate this time, then stopped. Then just barely I heard whispering. Soft, like someone talking to themselves. I was not about to go full horror movie cliché and not check on the kid. So I grabbed the flashlight app on my phone and crept upstairs, feeling like every board in that place wanted to squeak just to freak me out. The hallway was lined with more of those portraits, now at kid height, which somehow made them creepier. Daniel's room was at the end, a crack of light under the door. I pushed the door open real slow. The nightlight was on. Daniel, maybe 5 years old, was curled up in bed, covers pulled over his face, totally still. I whispered, "Hey buddy, you okay?" No response. I stepped closer. My heart was pounding so loud I thought he'd hear it. I touched his shoulder. He flinched hard, eyes wide. "Did you have a bad dream?" I asked. He shook his head. "The man in the hallway was talking to me," he whispered. I felt my stomach drop. "What man?" He pointed at the door. He said, "Don't come out." I looked, of course nothing there, but the window was rattling like crazy. I tucked Daniel back in and promised to stay close. I checked the closet under the bed, nothing. I left the door open a crack and went back downstairs. By 9:15, I was legit on edge. The noises upstairs kept coming, soft steps, sometimes quick, sometimes slow. A couple times I heard what sounded like knuckles tapping down the length of the hallway wall. I texted Mrs. Wilkins again. "Hey, Daniel's awake. Says he saw someone in the hall. Everything okay?" Still nothing. That's when the house phone rang. An old wall-mounted thing with a cord. It startled me so bad I almost tripped getting to it. I picked up. Static. Just crackling. Then clear as day, a man's voice whispered, "Don't go upstairs." The line went dead. I just stood there, frozen, hand shaking. I must have stood in that kitchen for a full minute before I heard it again. This time, way louder from Daniel's room. Without thinking, I sprinted upstairs. Halfway up, the hallway lights flickered off. Total darkness except for my phone flashlight. As I reached the top, I heard Daniel crying. I pushed into his room, nearly tripping over something soft, a stuffed bear in the middle of the floor. Daniel was sitting up, pointing at the open closet door. "He's in there," he whimpered. I shined my light in the closet. Nothing. Just toys, clothes, a bunch of board games. I shut the closet tight, locked the window, still rattling, and told Daniel I'd sit in the hallway to make him feel better. For the next hour, nothing happened. No footsteps, no phone calls, no voices. I sat there scrolling TikTok, glancing at those creepy portraits across from me. I thought maybe the storm was getting to both of us. At 11:40, I heard the garage door open. The Wilkinses were back early. I let out the biggest sigh of relief, grabbed my stuff, and told Mrs. Wilkins everything. She laughed. "Oh, this old house has its quirks. Daniel sleepwalks, sometimes talks to himself, happens all the time." I could tell she didn't really care. She handed me cash and a Tupperware of cookies. "Thanks again. You're a lifesaver." As I was walking out, Daniel shuffled down the stairs in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes. He looked up at me and said, "Don't forget," he said, "you're next." Mrs. Wilkins ruffled his hair, smiling. "Kids and their imaginations, right?" "Yeah, sure." Except that night, after I got home and got ready for bed, I found a little note in my jacket pocket, crumpled, written in a shaky hand. "Don't go upstairs." So look, I'll be real. I'm not one of those perfect babysitter types. I just needed quick cash. And Mrs. Ortega seemed chill. Her house wasn't too far. A weird 1950s ranch at the end of a cul-de-sac, a little run down, but whatever. She had one kid, Mia, 7 years old, quiet and obsessed with stickers. First thing was weird. Mrs. Ortega handed me a folded slip of paper as soon as I walked in. "This is for later," she said, kind of urgent. But then she just smiled and told me Mia's bedtime was 8:30. Whatever. I slid the note in my hoodie pocket and let it go. Mia was fine. Little shy, but she opened up once she showed me her sticker album. We watched some Disney Plus, ordered pizza. Pretty chill night. Until around 8, the landline phone rang. Who even has a landline anymore? I almost didn't answer, but the call wouldn't stop. I picked up and said, "Hello?" Silence. Like not even background static, just heavy blank nothing. I said, "Hello?" again, then click. Dial tone. I shrugged it off. Maybe a prank. Mia didn't even look up from her sticker sheet. At 8:15, the phone rang again. This time I tried to ignore it, but after the fourth ring, Mia's eyes got wide. "You have to answer it," she whispered. "It's the house rule." I laughed, thinking she was messing with me, but she looked freaked out. So I picked up. This time there was breathing. Slow, raspy old lady breathing. I was about to hang up when this voice croaked out, "Have you read the note?" My heart thudded. I pulled the note from my pocket. It was folded, perfectly crisp. On the outside, in neat handwriting, "Read this if the phone rings twice." So yeah, I unfolded it. Inside, "Do not answer the door for anyone after 8:30, not even me." What? I looked at the time, 8:22. I glanced at Mia, who was peeling a tiny ghost sticker off the sheet, hands shaking. I tried to make light of it. "Your mom left me a weird note," I said, showing it to Mia. She went pale. "Don't open the door," she said. "Ever since last year, that's the rule." "Ever since what last year?" I tried to joke, but Mia looked dead serious. Before she could answer, knock, 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 hard and loud at the front door. Not the doorbell, just straight pounding. I froze. Mia squeaked and squeezed my arm. Another knock, even harder. "Hello, it's me. I forgot my keys." Mrs. Ortega's voice, her exact voice. Calm, almost bored, like she wasn't standing on the porch pounding like she wanted to break the door down. I swallowed. "Did your mom forget her keys before?" I whispered. Mia shook her head so fast her hair whipped her cheeks. "She's not supposed to come back early. She said so." The knocks got frantic. "Open the door. I need to check something in the house." The voice was still calm, but somehow too calm, like an actor on a TV show. The knocks, though, were wild. I checked the time, 8:31. I didn't move. Suddenly the knocking stopped. The whole house went quiet, not even a car outside. I turned on every light. Mia followed me room to room. All the windows were locked. The street outside was totally empty. No cars, not even wind. 10 minutes later, the phone rang one more time. I didn't answer. Eventually, Mia went to bed clutching her sticker album like a stuffed animal. I sat in the living room wide awake until headlights swept the wall. Mrs. Ortega's car finally pulling up right at 10:30 like she'd said. She walked in, calm and normal. "How'd it go?" she asked. I tried to play it cool. "Someone came to the door and sounded just like you." Mrs. Ortega went still, lips pressed together. "But you didn't let them in, right?" I shook my head. She nodded once like I'd passed a test. Then she smiled and said, "That's why I always leave the note. You did good." She handed me the cash plus a $20 tip and thanked me again. Mia hugged me goodbye, her eyes tired but grateful. Walking out to my car, I glanced back at the house. In the porch light, I saw nothing. No footprints. No sign anyone had ever been there. But as I drove home, I noticed something weird tucked under my windshield wiper. A sticker, one of Mia's, but this one I'd never seen before. A perfect little door, slightly open with something dark peeking out from the crack. You know how people say every neighborhood has that house? The one with a weird vibe, where the grass always looks a little too long and you never see the people who live there? That's the Klein house on Oak Ridge Lane. When Mrs. Klein texted me to babysit their son on Saturday night, my first thought was honestly, easy money. She said they'd be home by midnight and her little boy Max was already asleep. How hard could it be? I'd babysat all over our cul-de-sac, but never for the Kleins. My mom was weirdly excited, though. She said Mrs. Klein was a nice woman, just private. I could tell she was itching for some fresh gossip. Anyway, it's 8:15 when I show up. The porch light flickers, but I just brush it off. Mrs. Klein meets me at the door. She's wearing an old cardigan, kind of frazzled, smiling way too hard. Mr. Klein is right behind her, clutching his keys, glancing at his watch like he can't wait to leave. "Max is already out cold," she says, leading me through the narrow hallway. "We keep a baby monitor in the kitchen. If he wakes up, just give him some water and put on his nightlight." Nightlight. Water. Got it. I notice the house feels cold, like colder than it should be for late May. But I chalk it up to their old AC unit. As soon as they leave, the house feels even quieter. I mean, dead quiet. I check on Max. He's maybe 5, a mop of dark hair, snoring like a tiny train. I go back downstairs and turn on Netflix, kick my shoes off, scroll on my phone. About half an hour later, I start to notice little things. The baby monitor sitting on the counter makes this weird clicking sound every few minutes. Not static, just a single sharp click. I glance at it, but the screen is blank. Maybe a wiring issue. I head to the kitchen for snacks and spot the family photos along the fridge. Most are of Max at the zoo in a Halloween costume sitting on someone's lap at Christmas. But in every single photo, Max's face looks off. Like he's looking at something just out of frame even when everyone else is looking at the camera. At first I'm like, maybe he just hates photos. I shrug it off. At 9:30 I hear footsteps upstairs. Not little kid footsteps either, these are heavy, slow. I freeze, waiting to see if Max calls out, but the monitor stays silent. Maybe the house is just creaky. I tell myself I'm being dramatic, but something about the footsteps gets under my skin. Then the baby monitor clicks again, louder this time, and a whisper comes through.
Come play.
Nope. I walk to the bottom of the stairs and call up, Max? You awake? No answer. The silence stretches. Then the footsteps start up again, but this time moving away from Max's room like someone's pacing the hallway. I consider calling Mrs. Klein, but I don't want to look like an idiot if it's just pipes or whatever. Instead, I head upstairs, phone flashlight in hand. Max's door is closed. I put my ear to the door. He's still snoring. The footsteps are coming from the other end of the hall. There's a door there, barely open, leading to what looks like a guest room. I poke my head in. It's empty. Neatly made bed, a rocking chair, a shelf with old board games. The air in the room feels freezing though, and it smells faintly like cedar and dust. I shut the door and go back downstairs, trying to convince myself it's just an old house being weird. I settle on the couch, but now I keep seeing movement out of the corner of my eye. Every time I look, there's nothing. The baby monitor keeps clicking, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. At 10:40, the monitor hisses and I hear Max's voice, small and sleepy. Mommy? I jump up, run upstairs, and crack his door open. He's sitting up, staring at the wall, tears running down his face. He doesn't even notice me at first. When I touch his shoulder, he nearly jumps out of his skin. He looks up, his eyes huge. Can you tell her to go away? I try to keep my voice chill. Who, baby? He points to the far corner of his room. There's nothing there, just his toy chest and a pile of stuffed animals. She keeps saying she wants to play, but she's not supposed to be in my room. Chills. Actual chills. I tuck him back in, set up the nightlight, and leave his door open a crack. It's just a bad dream, Max. I'll be right downstairs if you need me. I go back to the kitchen, grab the monitor, and move it to the living room with me. The next hour crawls by. I hear footsteps upstairs now and then, but I refuse to check again. A little after midnight, headlights flash across the front window. Thank God the Kleins are home. Mrs. Klein comes in, all smiles, and asks how the night went. I try to sound normal as I mention Max woke up scared, something about a woman in his room. Her face falls just for a second, then she recovers too quick and says, "He's been having nightmares, sorry if he scared you." I grab my stuff, practically sprint out the door, and get home as fast as I can. The next day, Mrs. Klein texts to say thanks, plus a tip on Venmo. She adds, "If Max said anything strange, please don't mention it to the neighbors." I never babysit there again, but about a week later, my mom hears a rumor that the Klein house used to belong to an old woman who died in the guest room, right at the end of the hall. She didn't have any family. The realtor never mentioned it, but some of the older neighbors still remember. Every time I pass the Klein house now, I swear, I see someone standing at the upstairs window. I was broke and desperate for cash, which is probably why I said yes to babysitting for the Langs, even though I'd only met Mrs. Lang once at the grocery store. She just flagged me down, asked if I was free Friday night, offered $100 for a few hours. I figured, what could go wrong? Their house was on Sycamore Lane, a few blocks from where I lived with my mom. Easy money. So Friday rolls around. I show up at 6:45 p.m., bag of snacks, charger, and my old laptop in tow. The Lang's place is nice. One of those brick 2 stories with the overgrown bushes out front and a wind chime that sounds like haunted marbles. Mrs. Lang greets me at the door, kind of frazzled, makeup halfway done. She rushes through the kids' routine. Emma's 5, she's shy, she likes to draw. Don't let her eat anything red before bed or she'll be up all night. And then she and Mr. Lang leave for their date. Emma's adorable. Big brown eyes, wild curls, wearing pajamas with sleepy foxes on them. She barely speaks above a whisper, but she leads me straight to the living room, plops onto the floor and starts sketching with crayons. It's a chill gig. We watch some cartoons, play hide and seek. She hides behind the long curtains and I pretend to struggle finding her, even though her giggling gives her away every time. Around 8:30, I convince her to brush her teeth and get in bed. She's out like a light by 8:45. The house is so quiet, it's almost weird. The first odd thing, I head downstairs, settle onto the couch, and fire up Netflix. About half an episode into some mindless show, I hear it. A faint knock, like 3 quick taps somewhere behind me. I pause the TV, nothing. I figure maybe it's just the house settling or the wind chime outside, so I keep watching. Then I hear it again. Tap, tap, tap. This time I mute the TV and listen hard. It's coming from the back door, one of those old creaky sliding doors that leads to a dark backyard. I get up, heart thumping, and peek through the blinds. The backyard is empty. Swing set, patchy grass, no sign of anyone. I tell myself I'm just jumpy, lock the door and try to chill out. Weird drawings. A little after 9, I check on Emma. She's still asleep, sprawled out, her blanket tangled. But there are fresh drawings on her nightstand, ones she definitely didn't have before bedtime. All in black crayon, frantic lines, scribbles of little stick figures, and one big figure, way taller than the others. The big one standing outside a window, hands pressed to the glass. I try not to overthink it. Kids draw weird stuff, right? I stack the papers neatly and head back downstairs, feeling a little uneasy. 10 minutes later, I hear footsteps, tiny, rapid. I figure Emma's up, so I walk out into the hallway, only to see someone dart past the end of the hall and vanish into the dark laundry room. My heart lurches. I rush after her, calling, "Emma?" No answer. The laundry room is empty except for the rumbling washer. When I turn around, I catch a glimpse of Emma peeking at me from the stairs. She's holding a new drawing. She holds it up. This one's got a figure peering through the living room window. Emma whispers, "He likes to watch us." Goosebumps ripple across my arms. The TV flicker. I guide Emma back to bed, tuck her in, promise her the watcher isn't real. She shrugs and rolls over. I close her door a little tighter and head downstairs, but when I get back, the TV's on, playing static. I definitely turned it off, and the volume is blasting. My heart skips again. I switch it off, unplug it for good measure, and check the front door. Still locked. I text my best friend to distract myself, but the Wi-Fi's suddenly super slow. Out of habit, I glance outside. That's when I see movement, just a shadow ducking behind the swing set. I freeze. There's no way. I stare for what feels like forever, barely breathing. Suddenly, something slams against the sliding door, so loud it rattles the glass. I leap up, phone nearly flying out my hand. But when I look, there's nothing there. No shadow, nothing. Just my own reflection, looking terrified. Emma sleepwalking? I go check on Emma again. She's still in bed, but this time she's sitting up, eyes wide open. She's drawing, her hand moving fast and weird, like she's not even awake. The new picture is of the living room, and there's the tall figure standing right behind me at the couch. I'm officially creeped out. I call her name and she just keeps drawing. I gently shake her and she blinks, confused, like she just woke up. She drops the crayon and burrows under her blanket. "He's in the house now," she whispers. I feel a chill so sharp it hurts. Trying to get it together, I tell myself I'm overreacting, but then the basement door, which I swear was closed before, swings open with a groan. It's pitch black down there. I grab a flashlight from the kitchen drawer, feeling ridiculous, and shine it down the stairs. Halfway down, the light catches something. A figure just for a second. Tall, pale, featureless face. My heart nearly stops. I drop the flashlight and scramble back upstairs, slamming the basement door and locking it. After that, the house is dead silent except for the wind chime out front clinking crazier than ever. I keep all the lights on, clutch my phone, and wait by Emma's door until the Langs come home. Way later than they said, like close to 1 a.m. Mrs. Lang looks exhausted. Mr. Lang just mumbles thanks. As I'm leaving, I glance back up at Emma's window. She's standing there watching me, holding up one last drawing. Me standing outside the house and the tall figure right behind me. I get home, toss the money on my desk, and swear off babysitting forever. But sometimes when I walk past Sycamore Lane, I get the creepiest feeling someone's watching me from those dark windows, and I never ever look back.